This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pornian Bakery. If you're located in the Pornian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pornian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. All right.
Yeah, I already started.
Oh, okay, super. All right. Okay, my question. All right, we were talking about the PlayStation reveal or whatever that's happening
Showcase.
next week. Yeah, showcase. Did you see the Mortal Kombat 1 trailer?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, all right. This kind of dovetails into the first topic I want to talk about, which is, do franchises harm more than they help? Okay, let's think about this one. Fast 10 just came out, horrible review, right? Indiana Jones also came out, horrible review. What else? Pirates of the Caribbean. You could remember that the first three were really good, and they kept trying to make more, and it's like slowly going downhill. You know, I feel like with franchises, like why don't they just nip it in the bud and then just end it when it's good? You know what I'm saying? Like John Wick did that. It was getting kind of weird. Like if they'd made a John Wick 5, I'd be like, you're pushing the limit, because John Wick 4 was already like kind of like it was just straight action. It wasn't really a good storyline, right? So now I'm like, like I get that there's a monetary piece to it, but don't you find that it like hurts certain people's careers over time? Or like, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, there's a reason they're making it. They're still gonna make the money, right? That's
So,
the main
right.
thing.
But it's like but it's like, doesn't it harm you as a creator? Like on the business side, it's like, yeah, totally, we'll just milk this for as much as we can. But like Jason Momoa, him being in this, I'm like, I'm watching your career decline. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went from like Game of Thrones and like, okay, that was cool. Then oh, that was cool. Okay, you did Frontier, that was cool. And then now we're like, okay, it's on the downswing. You know? Like, did you see him in the trailer for Fast 10?
Yeah.
And
saw
I
the
was
trailer,
like,
yeah.
it was kind of corny, right? You're like, what? This looks like trash. You know? Even him as an actor, it's like, what? Yeah. It's almost like they like take all of these dying actors and put them in a like you know your career's on the decline if you start accepting a Fast and the Furious movie. You know, it's not like a Marvel where it's like, oh, I just signed to Marvel. Okay, your career's about to explode. It's almost like, let's just get the stragglers. Is how I feel about it. I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, I don't think that's how they feel about it going into it.
Oh, you think that they like are like, this is gonna be the best ever, like, whatever.
I'm not sure what they're thinking. I don't know, like what his last gig was. Like this is a big budget kind of thing, right? So they're getting
Or the Fast and Furious thing?
yeah.
But like, is it good? Like, all right, sure, it's a big budget thing. You're gonna put all these explosions in it, but like, is it good? You know, at the end of the day, like, could I have skipped this one? Like, why are you dragging out something that was so good? You know, like Pirates 1, 2, 3, amazing. They made everything wrap together, and then they started making these like expansions, and it's like, oh, these are trash now. You know, and I'm just wondering, like what is the thought process there? I like from a monetary perspective, sure.
I think that's the thing, right? If they're not making money, then they're gonna stop doing it.
But like, didn't it decline like last time? the
I
Fast and Furious. And they said that this ending one is like a trilogy, like Fast 10 trilogy to the end. It's like, oh my God. So you
No,
like,
it could be like a selling point, right? I don't know if they've even written the trilogy. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
but no, no, for sure. But it's like trolly, like
yeah, yeah,
people, if
yeah.
you look at the comments and you look at like you know what I'm saying? It's like, where's the temperature check at?
Hmm.
You didn't look at it and you weren't like, wait, this is making us look kind of stupid now. Like,
Right. I have no idea. So like, I don't know why they greenlit it. Like,
or,
were
or a
they,
bit bigger.
was there, like the pitching was good that they were, okay, maybe this will be good, but sometimes execution is bad. So,
Or, okay. What do you,
because
what do you
it's a
think
lot of
about the movie?
money. Which one? The movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the review is bad, so I probably won't be seeing that.
Right? So it's like, but are you just taking, like, all right, my real question is this. Are there more dumb people than there are smart people? And they're capitalizing on dumb people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, it's another Fast. I'm going to watch the movie, so I'm a dumb person. But like, I'm just like in it for the long haul now. I've already invested, I've seen it. Let's just continue down this road.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll
But
probably
like,
eventually see it, but just not in. I don't think I'll see it in theaters.
no, for sure, for sure. Well, yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's like, well, I'm gonna see it in theaters because I like the theater experience. But like, you were like, it's not worth my like resources to go watch this.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just wondering, like, is it that? Are we capitalizing on, like, when did market value take over artistic value? You know what I'm saying?
I think they both play a part, but especially but when it comes to big budget, I think it's more about the money.
But can it compete with things like Netflix's movies and series? You know what I mean? Like, is this an old strategy that's still being played out?
Mm,
Because think about it this way. All right, if it wasn't in theaters, right? If you put it on Netflix, I probably wouldn't watch this. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
So
Like,
again,
because I
yeah,
could stream other things,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but the limited value of the movie theaters is like, okay, well, what do you want to watch? Well, Fast is out. All right, we'll watch Fast. That's why I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go to the theaters, right? So it's like, as people stop streaming and stop going to the theaters and they start streaming more, is it just a waste of time? To like, is it just like an old tactic of like making these big blockbuster things, but it'll never pan out in the future? So it's like, it's ultimately harming your career because if you want any longevity, it's like, why are you sticking to these? Unless you don't care about your career, let's just make the big bucks as fast as we can and then like live in like a yacht. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Maybe he's just like, for instance, Jason Momoa's thing. He's just not getting anything. Like nothing's coming his way.
Oh, fair. I didn't even think about it from that perspective. Maybe it's like, this is the only shot you
Yeah,
got
maybe
left.
this is kind of like saying, okay, at least maybe he can do a big blockbuster, right? Like he's good to work with other people. But maybe that'll help push him in, like networking in a way to work with other people.
Yep. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, actually, I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah, because like his last few hits, but it goes back to my earlier point where it's like you're just collecting all the B-list actors now. You're like trying to revive their career, and like,
Yeah, it
it's
could
like
be. Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
you know what
But
I'm saying?
yeah, you could be. But there's quite a few actors in there. I mean, a lot of the fast
But those are
people
like
are there.
staples, though.
No,
Is that
no, no.
what?
I'm saying like yeah, and you have the traditional or the same people that were in the other Fast and Furious, right? I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm saying the other people that are there, right? So, but she's been in a few movies like Charlize Theron, like
but she was there for like
for a few
the
movies, right?
the
Yeah.
yeah, like she's the main bad guy. It's like it'd be kind of weird if you just took her out now.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know what franchise is actually doing really well, although it's hitting the end point? Mission Impossible. This is like the summer of franchises. They're just like coming out with all the stuff that, you know, that we grew up watching, you know. But
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but
There's a
right?
there's a, I
But
think there's a that's what I heard too, where it's just nothing but like all bringing back all the '90s stuff, or like
Yeah,
revamping some of those old things. And
yeah,
right,
but it's like it's a little distasteful, except for Mission Impossible. That one looks really, really good because Tom Cruise takes his all right. Example. So if you look at the way the two movies are set out, Fast and Furious, Jason Momoa doesn't look like he's staying fit. Neither does Vin Diesel. You know what I'm saying? It looks like they're on the downswing. I just watched Jason Momoa's workout like video. Like Men's Health always puts out like what's in my fridge, like what's in my gym. And then I just watched it, and he's just drinking Guinness, and he's like eating like terrible food. I'm like, okay, you're not taking this seriously. It's not like Chris Hemsworth. You know, you're really jacked.
right.
You know, you're taking your role seriously. Because I saw the Extraction 2 trailer just now. I was like, oh, that looks really good. But contrast to Fast and the Furious, Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise like does his own stunts. So it's like you're taking your job seriously. So like that's a franchise that you can look forward to because you're actually like it's like you want to make the best product you can.
Yeah.
You could feel that, you know? But with like Fast, it's almost like they don't care. They're like, we'll just get the money anyways. We know we'll just.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you
like,
know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you
I
can
know,
see
I
the
know.
two.
But
You're
we
like,
watched,
that's weird.
even the last movie was just ridiculous. Like, we were like.
Fast.
Yeah, last Fast movie was ridiculous.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's why I want to watch them. Like, how bad did it get? You know, is it so dumb now that you're like, what are you guys doing? You know? So, yeah. You can feel who cares more out of the two franchises, you know? So there are some that execute it well, but then there are some that just like you're just playing on like our stupidity or something, you know?
Yeah,
or
I think
like our
maybe
willingness
it depends on. Yeah, I think it just depends on where they're like. They used to be very serious, and they shifted to just let's just make a fun movie, like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
That's all that they wanted to end up making. Maybe that's probably why.
But like a roller coaster could be good too. It's like actually, you know, it was a really bad one as well. Well, all right. The roller coaster can be good. Like for example, Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible, whatever the newest one, 6 or something, whatever's coming out. That's a roller coaster ride. It can be good. Another one, just like Fast, that kind of died at the end. I don't know if you felt it, but I did. Was James Bond with Daniel Craig.
Mm-hmm.
The last one wasn't good. It was like, but we talked about this. It was from a James Bond. It was from like a James Bond perspective, but not 007.
Yeah.
So he was more human in it. So maybe that's why it felt a little weird.
It felt a little weird, but there was things on that movie. It was then leaning towards like the original types of James Bond, where it's like the gadgets are becoming a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which I didn't
true.
like.
So they're trying to like pay homage. Yeah, no, I didn't like it either. I liked the realism. So that's where it is. Like you saw it go from like realism, which we loved, and you're like, wow, you guys are really putting effort in this. I could tell you're really like working out for this role. And then as it got like longer and longer, you could see them not caring anymore. And that's how I feel about Fast.
I think it's just like
Yeah,
what other ideas can you do? I think there's what else can you do with cars? I'm sure that's a
That's why it's like just end it, and we could have been like, wow, that's an amazing series. You should watch it over and over again, you know. But it's like they don't care.
That's what I'm seeing on the internets. Yeah, like should have ended it when they did the Paul Walker end scene.
Yeah, they should have. Yes,
Yeah, that would have been
that would have been really sick. Yeah, that shit, because that's when it was still kind of real, you know. And then now they're just getting super ridiculous when they went to space. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. They're trying to bring this one back. Like the storyline of this is back to Fast 6, I believe. Like the Jason Momoa's character is a family member of the person they killed in Brazil.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I see you're trying, I guess. But like, you know, kind of, you're still like pissing on my face and telling me it's rain. You know, it's like you're giving me a bad product. But you're like, no, it's gonna be good. And like all the promotion, like all my feed is just like, because I follow them, so it's just like so much.
Yeah.
Hype
But again,
over
that's
why.
why.
Yeah, no, totally. It's your job.
Yeah. But again, it's up to the consumer to purchase the tickets or not.
Yeah, fair. But I don't think this is gonna be a long-term model. I was talking to somebody recently, and they're like, the fact that I go to movies religiously is like confusing. Like I don't remember the last time I've been to the movie theater. I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Because it's all like streaming or just waiting for it to come out. Usually like stuff that's in theaters, 2 months, you just watch the digital download, don't need to go in.
Yeah.
Like the convenience. Like a lot of stuff on the Chrome when I sign in, it's like new movies. And I'm like, wait, I just saw that in the theater. Why are you putting it out now
Hmm.
for like
Depends on
watching
how well they
online?
do. Depends on how well they do in theaters.
Oh, they'll like keep it
Yeah.
in the oh okay. Yeah. Like Guardians, I hear it's like the second week in a row or something that it was
Yeah, no, I heard
like
it.
a
That
smash
one
hit.
had a good review. So
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's done. I think it's done
no,
after
they're
this one.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So going back to Mortal Kombat 1, I don't think we finished that. But
No.
what did you think of the trailer?
Um. I mean, it's a CG trailer. Look cool.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll
Yeah.
wait.
I
But
feel like
the
yeah,
date is pretty early, right? So September is when they release games. But
yeah, pretty
so
close. But I feel like with those Mortal Kombat games, the mechanics never change. That's the genius part about those games, right? You don't
yeah.
have to change the code. You just have to upgrade the graphics, make them more and more realistic.
Hmm.
But to go back to the whole franchise thing, I thought it was kind of weird that they're like number one. They're going back to the first,
Hmm.
you know? So like we're gonna reimagine this whole world by going back to their like saying that this is the first in a whole series that we're gonna make. It's like it's like man,
There's
why
another
let's come
storyline.
up with some
Yeah.
new games? Like let's come up with the new games though, man. Like
No, I
let me
think
see something fresh.
yeah, but that's another realm, right? You can expect that from. They're just doing Mortal Kombat. They've been doing it for how many years? I don't think that's gonna
Yeah,
end.
yeah, that's true.
I think people
Yeah,
still
that's
want to
true.
play the Mortal Kombat, right? So as long as they still have an audience that buys the games,
They'll just keep going.
they're just gonna keep making them. Yeah, of course.
You know what they didn't
Just
keep
like
going with, but
Capcom,
I
right?
wish they did? I was
Or
gonna say,
Street
yeah,
Fighter,
yeah, yeah, like
right?
Street
Yeah,
Fighter. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they didn't continue Marvel vs. Street Fighter. Marvel vs. Capcom, sorry.
yeah. That's probably like
That.
licensing issues.
Oh, okay, true, true, true. Because I would still go back and download that
Hmm.
game. Looks really good.
But
I
I
mean
like the
that was a really good game.
new I like the new versions of the Mortal Kombat because that's just for the story, right? They built it like a movie, right?
Oh yeah, as you're playing it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But I don't like how they have two different like an adventure mode and then they have like the linear like the way
yeah,
they've crafted the story is a bit too like okay, so in the beginning it was like a ladder, and then to watch their ending, you just have to beat like seven characters,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
now it's like I get choices, and I'm like, like you're making it a bit too like too cinematic. It's like
Yeah,
it's taking too long to finish the game now,
they make it like like a I don't know a
like a
story,
story.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you're just following it like a movie, and you just play whatever character they give you. Well, you can still do the
right.
ladder thing though, but it's not. That's if you want the traditional aspect, but you're not gonna get it. I don't think there's a story at the end. It's just like for completing the
You beat the
stuff.
game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like you can still do all that stuff, but you
But I
have the
feel like
story as well.
that was like the fascinating part. Like that's the addictive part of playing the game. You wanted to beat the game with every single character, just so you could watch their endings.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was because I was trying to play Mortal Kombat, and then as soon as it made you force like select a character, it's like, oh, this part you're gonna have to play as this person. I was like, I don't want to have to learn that person's moves. Because like
Yeah, but then
you
see,
kind of
that's I
build
think
a
I think that's why it's like if it was the latter thing, it's more like I'll just play with the characters you care about, not the other
and
characters.
then switch as no, but then you just play the trick as you beat it all the way to the top, and then the last boss you just switch at the very end.
Right. See.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's like a
Only
little
for
hack,
that one
but like you
thing.
can't do that anymore. Yeah, like yeah, it's almost like the games that you expected to be short, like fighting games. Like I just want to jump in, jump back out. I got like an hour to play. It's like they're trying to make their games more intense as well. It's like no, that's why we have adventure games. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're losing the magic of what made games so mystical in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about games when they first came out. Each one was unique. It had a different storyline. There's a reason why you wanted to play it. But now we're just so
There's a
bombarded with
reason for
games.
that,
Yeah.
though, right? There's a reason for all that because
Okay.
video games were new. You're just playing around trying to figure out what works.
But that's what I mean.
Once you figure out the
maybe
formula,
but maybe that's the whole thing about going back to do franchises harm more than they help? Because to me, it seems so oversaturated, the video game market, that I don't even want, like, there's nothing really that's compelling me to play, you know, except for the Switch. Like the Zelda thing, that's pretty cool. But that's like few and far between. Like, there's no console sellers, you know? Like, before, I don't know how you feel, but like, games felt more magical back then. You know, it's not that big. I'm getting older. It's more like, oh, this is novel. I've never tried this. But now it's like everything's so expensive. Every game's kind of the same.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we have Grand Theft Auto, which was amazing when it first came out for PlayStation. But then you have, what was that other, Saints Row? Basically the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, we have just different derivations of games, but it's the same game.
Mm-hmm.
We have like Forza, Need for Speed, Gran Turismo. Well, Gran Turismo is a different style, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we have the modded car genre, then we have the race car genre, but then we have, like, within that genre, you have all different types.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's losing its power. Do you feel that too, or no?
Not really for me.
Okay, like, what do you mean?
I mean, like the games
Like,
I play on the PlayStation side have been what I've been looking for, like the God of War or.
Okay, yeah.
Like Gran Turismo was a new thing for me, right? As a racing.
But right, for sure. But it's like you only played like two, Gran Turismo and
these are like Sony first party titles, right? Yeah. Right.
But is there, like, I'm saying, like, with relative to the output, there's, so like if you have like 100 games put out and 2 are good, right? Then you're like, that's actually not a great ratio. But in the beginning, it was like very few games were coming out, but there was a majority of good games compared to not good games.
Yeah, I think, I know what you're saying.
Like, there's like less games, but the goodness factor of them were amazing. Like, I could remember Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Pitfall. These were all unique games that you're like, oh, this is really cool. That Final Fantasy VII. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like Final Fantasy VII, then 20 other games were like coming out at the exact same time, and they're like,
so that's the thing. There's so many games coming out now, right? There's so many games.
That's what I mean. Yeah. There's just too many relative to the quality.
That's why there's that's the, like, they've always really stuck with the PlayStation, like, first party titles, right? But they do come like once or twice a year.
But even God of War, it's like it's the same as God of War, the other one. Like, the one
it's a story though, right? I played all the other ones, right? So I've always liked for the story.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, there's no, like, all right, God of War is one title, right? And it's kind of like rinse and repeat. But then what else you got? You're saying, like, oh, there's a bunch of good ones too that you've played, but it's like God of War is basically God of War. Like, it'll always kind of be God of War. Like, Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, Spyro. They're all distinctively different games, like ways to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, ways you're actually playing the game. Like, if you play God of War this year's version and last year's version, there's not that big of a difference.
No, but that's
you're still playing it similarly.
Right. But you're naming different games though, weren't you?
Right. Yes. But that's what I'm saying. There was more magical games back then. Like, you named me one title, and there's like hundreds of games coming out. You know what I'm saying? No.
I'm saying, like, there's, like, that's what I'm saying. Grand Theft, God of War. These are two different kind of games, right?
But But what I'm saying is the magic is being lost now because there's so many that the quality relative to the quantity is like disproportionate. Whereas back then, there was not as much quantity, but higher quality. So I named you a bunch of games because there was that's like quantity relative to quality. Like all those games, there's like 5 games, but like how many good PlayStation games can you name? God of War and
Well,
Gran
for me
Turismo.
that I play, or like just in general.
Yeah, it's uh no, it's just like that you play. Yeah, because if you're like,
Well,
oh, it's good, but you never played it, it's like, okay,
yeah,
well,
yeah. No, I'm
you
saying
know
like
what I mean? So
if
it's like so it's not that good.
I'm saying like if right. Why I wouldn't play like Crash Bandicoot now,
Okay, but
right?
no, I'm
It's
saying,
not.
but when they came out, we were playing them.
Yeah, yeah,
We were like,
yeah,
oh, this is cool,
yeah.
right? So we actually played them and we confirmed that they were good. But there are a lot of games that like um are getting good reviews, but they're not like we're not playing them. They're just getting good reviews.
Yeah, maybe just we're not the audience
Like
anymore
Harry
for
Potter.
them.
Harry
Oh yeah, yeah. But Harry Potter is a different. It's not a first. Like it's their own independent whatever, right? Like not made by PlayStation or something like that.
No, but it doesn't have to be like made by place, just games in general. Like
Oh,
what's a
Harry
good
Potter. Yeah,
game?
that's the
Like
one
what
thing
are
I do want to play, but it's just expensive. Just waiting for it to go down.
that's right. So then it's like we have so many and then the prices are getting so high that like I can't even play it anymore.
Hmm.
You know? We can't even rent them anymore. You know, how you used to rent video games,
Yeah, yeah.
go to the store, rent it, and then return it. So you don't even have that option to even play it. Maybe that was the missing piece. Actually, that's how we
But they
played
are
so many good
doing
games.
right, because you can just try them and see if they're good or not good, right?
I
That
mean, you kept
yeah,
renting it till you beat it, and you're
they're
like, "Oh,
they're
I'm done."
doing with a portion like what's equivalent to that would be like having the demo version or like the trial. They're doing that now
But
on some games.
but the trial, you can't beat the actual game. You still have to buy it. Actually,
What do you
maybe
mean?
that's what it
What?
is. It's not.
Oh, you can't beat it in the trial. You mean?
Yeah, you can't beat it in the
Oh yeah,
trial.
yeah, yeah.
It's a trial, right? They give you up to like a certain level, and you're like, "Oh, that's cool," and you want to
I think
play.
it's like depending it's level or like time, like how long you can play it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you need to speed run it
Yeah,
to like.
just speedrun.
But you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
that was the defining factor, the fact that we could rent games and then rent them till we beat them and then just return it.
yeah,
Maybe that's why you played so many games, so many good games.
yeah.
Okay, actually that's a better question. Do you think it's the way games are set up now that we can't rent? That's the reason why we're not playing very many good games? Or do you think that there's more crappy games relative to the quality games?
Wait, say that again.
So, do you think the reason why I could name all of those really good games and I have fond memories of good video games when we were younger is because we could rent those games and we didn't have to buy them. So the cost was lower.
Hmm.
Or do you think there were better games back then as compared to now relative to the amount that is coming out?
Uh,
Do you think it's like a logistical issue or do you think it's like a quality issue? Cuz I'm sure Harry Potter is good, but let's say I rented it. Would it be sticky enough for me to want to beat it till the end? Or like
um,
continue playing it over and over?
well, I can't say it, right? Possibly. How do I know to say that yes or no for that?
No, okay, fair. So, all right, back to my original question then. Do you think it's just the way we're consuming games, or like that's making it seem like there's not that many good games out now, or do you think it's like they're just putting out so many games, but there are very few quality games?
I think that there's a lot more niche of products available now. That it feels
Okay,
like,
interesting.
um, that's why it feels like these look um, like games I wouldn't play, but there's probably a niche audience that does, right? Like it's becoming more
Oh
obscure.
yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the cat game
Yeah.
that came out where
Yeah.
you just play as the cat.
Yeah.
Like I would never play this. Why'd
So
you waste your time with
I
this?
played it. So it's like
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like just so
but
bombarded
even
with
even the cat
the
game is a little, I would say like it's not a big budget, but it's like it's an in between. There's even like more like independent ones that, like if you listen to like the gaming podcast, they were the ones who like talk about like some game called Hollow Knight, which I would never play, but it's like they're like super into it. But these are like very independent type games.
Oh, I see. So it's just reaching a wider audience.
I think so.
So like no, sorry. Yeah, not wider.
More like
A more niche audience, yeah.
yeah.
Like niche
Yeah,
pockets. Like
because a
it
lot of
seems
the
like there's so many.
because what happens is like we're talking about this, but the people that grew up the same way as us, they're making those independent type games, the games that they want to play, or the games that, you know what I mean, like they were inspired by
Oh,
as
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
and they're making those games today. But we're not in that world anymore. Right? We're like, I'm looking for the big blockbuster ones. I don't think I'll be as interested in as like Hollow Knight. It's like a 2D type of game, but like, these are things that they played as kids, right?
I see what you're saying.
Where
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
we played as kids, right? So
So like the access to create games. Okay, so like the cost to create the product has gone down. So developers don't need to focus on making a really, really, really good game for everyone. Because you can just like,
yeah,
as long
you
as
have
you just make some profit, you're good.
you have more audience. You have more people to like to pick from right now, right? So that's why the big ones will come, you know, once or twice a year for like PlayStation, because they
I
don't
see what you're
have
saying.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
They can focus more on making an actual big blockbuster game, while the other independent ones are filling in the rest of the months, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I wonder if during this upcoming, what was it? Showcase? PlayStation Showcase? What's it called?
Yeah,
Next week?
PlayStation Showcase, yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna see any games. If you're gonna see any games that are like super innovative. Like
I don't
RBF2 is one that
know. We'll see.
Oh no. Okay. Well, all right. There you go.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I'm looking forward to is not necessarily innovative. I'm looking forward to the ones that they've previously talked about that they've been making. So
Oh, I
maybe
see.
there's the Spider-Man 2 game coming out this year. That's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, but so it's another rinse and repeat. That's Spider-Man. It's like okay, like I liked the Miles Morales one.
Or at least a little bit of the Wolverine that they announced. So
Okay. When Spider-Man, the PlayStation game came out, that was the first time you could swing around the city, and you're like, oh, this is mind blowing, right? But now, when you're like, oh, I'm looking forward to the Spider-Man game, I'm like, it's gonna be the same as every other Spider-Man game. Like, remember when Miles Morales came out, and then you're like, oh, you can just play it. So I was playing it, but I got bored because I was like, oh, it's just like every other Spider-Man game. Like, there's nothing there that's like innovative or like makes you want to play it. It's just like every other game.
right, okay. I was looking for the
Even
story,
like,
right? That's what hooked me.
but it's like I could watch anime for that. I could watch a movie for that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's different ways to consume that thing. The magic of the game is like you're doing things that you couldn't do in real life through a character.
Yeah.
I don't really care for stories, right? It's like because you could find stories, better stories like elsewhere. The only good story game was Uncharted and Last of Us. Like what other amazing story? Like God of War, maybe. Like,
Well,
what,
I would say,
don't
yeah,
know.
I would say it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll.
But
we'll
I
lump
like
it there,
the
God of War.
myth worlds, right? Yeah, God of War.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, how much can you do with Spider-Man? Like, just watch the new Spider-Man movie. Like, I feel like games are losing their way because there's just so like, like video games to me feel like Fast and the Furious 10. It's just like we're just trying to entertain you, but the quality's not there. It's not like
I don't know if I
like
could
they
say the
developed-
quality's not there.
no quality. You're thinking of graphics.
No,
Like,
I'm not
I'm
talking
talking
about
about, like-
I'm quality
okay,
of like
so what do
with
you-
the story and everything. I'm talking about it like that.
Okay, then
Like
name
a
some.
person
name-
that like if you're playing the game, no, like that's like the Spider-Man game. The quality of the
But
Spider-Man
really
game
though,
was really good. Yeah.
but real. but like, so you're saying the story of the Spider-Man game was so amazing that you're just like, I gotta keep playing this. Like, I gotta find out what happens.
Yeah, I finished the whole thing, right? Not like
No,
I
no, but you
stopped anywhere.
finished.
Yeah.
There's a difference between I finished it and I was like, oh, I was really, really into it. Because I've finished like a bunch of stuff. I'm like, it wasn't that great. You know, you've watched movies that you're like, it wasn't that great. I'm saying like Last of Us, dude, you gotta play Last of Us. The story of Last of Us is so wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even the fact that, no, I'm saying like if I was
Yeah,
telling someone,
yeah.
because we both know. So it's like, dude, you don't even understand. Like, it's not about the zombies. It's the fact, the way that the humans interact with other people. So you're like hyped. Like, that's really sick. We're like, dude, Miles Morales fights Electro again. And then he fights Shocker.
Yeah.
And then he fights Venom. Venom comes back. It's like, come on, it's the exact same thing. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's not like the two things are totally different. Like when you talk about Last of Us, you're like, oh no, that's innovative. Uncharted. There's a dude.
Yeah, it's totally new. It was totally new. Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man is
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even Uncharted, you're like, dude, there was a guy who was an orphan and he's just running around the world chasing treasure. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to see that.
Yeah.
But like, what other story?
That's
what I mean.
There's like, it's a very risky thing, right? It depends on how much they trust or how well the story is that, like, like for like big titles, like for Sony to put money in, right?
Yeah.
Because there was another game that came out. It's a first party thing. It's called Forsaken. Didn't do well.
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. So it's a whole new game.
Right, yeah.
And it was fully PlayStation. Did not do well. Just bad.
Right. But it's like, without those risk takers, you won't see. That's the thing. It's like it's evolving in a Fast and the Furious model where it's like, let's just rinse and repeat. I'm gonna give people what they want, but then like people.
No,
I
think that they still do that, right? I mean, that tells you that they're still doing that, right?
Which
is looking for new stories.
Wait, who is? What are we talking about?
I'm talking about PlayStation is still No, I'm saying PlayStation is still looking for new stories. They're still putting money in it. It's not like they stopped doing that, right? Like you can do both, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I'm saying like the output of game. It's not just PlayStation though. It's like it's the video game industry as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like we are. Like, I used to be obsessed with video games and play them all the time because it felt like a different world I was entering into. Now it feels like every world is the same. So it's like, what's the point of going back in?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Fable. Remember Fable? You're like, wait, no, you evolve as a character.
I've never played
and the innovative... Oh, that's Xbox. It's
yeah.
You never had Xbox. So, like, you evolve as a character, and as you fight, if you get hit with something, you get a scar.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh shoot, I don't want to let my character get hit. So that's a cool, innovative thing, you know. And then it's like it's about a guild of warriors,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm just like, what are we getting now? We're getting Mortal Kombat 1 again. You're like, what? Like, how's that gonna be innovative? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it feels very. I don't know. You'll have better.
I think there's
the showcase.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that there is a lot, but it's how much they get promoted, right? There are probably other games that have things, but it's like it's not going to hit our hemisphere.
Could be, yeah. True. Do you remember? What was it? Kojima's game.
That's Stranding, or
yeah, dude, you're walking around with a baby on your backpack and there's these invisible team. You're like, what is that game?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one. But like, Kojima grew up during the time that like he made Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he is like a pioneer in that field. He kept true to his style.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, just talking about the franchise. I heard that there might be another just a remake of the Metal Gear.
Oh, like a revamp of the skins? Or like a whole new game?
I don't think it's a whole new game. It's just the revamp of the old ones.
That might be cool, only because I really liked Metal Gear Solid. Like the first one, Metal Gear Solid, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like how Final Fantasy VII came back. That was really sick. Yeah.
But did you like that version, the one that they remade? And they still have to make.
It's totally different.
No, no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
different. It's different from the original. But I'm saying, like, did you
But
like
which
the
one did
new
I like better?
version? Yeah.
Um, no, not as much. No, not as much. You know why? Because in Final Fantasy VII, the PlayStation original, remember I was saying like I had to play with the walkthrough because they put so much of this game that like it's like they dumbed down video games. So when I was
Oh,
playing Final
right,
Fantasy
right,
VII,
right.
it's like just get to this point, just smash everyone, get to this point. Whereas like as I was playing the first one, it's like go behind the hidden waterfall. You're like, bro, I didn't even know there was a hidden waterfall here. Like there was no potential um there's no like waypoint, there's no like marker where it's like you should go to this
Hmm,
location.
hmm.
You're kind of like guessing. And that's what made the game more fun because you're like, what am I supposed to do here? You know, like it felt like a discovery. You know what I'm saying?
The old one.
Whereas now it's like it's yeah, the old one. Because now it's like dumbed down. It's like just go to here. It like literally marks where you have to go,
Yeah, yeah.
and then monsters pop up and you just like hit them until they're dead, and you just like keep. It's like I just gonna run through this game. That's why I played it on easy because I was like, I don't care about fighting the monsters. I'm just gonna run through it. You know. So like graphic wise, I did like seeing the way they portrayed Final Fantasy VII, the world, but the first game felt more like a living world.
Hmm.
This one felt more like linear NPCs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it's like there's nothing hidden here.
Hmm. They made it easier
There's no Easter
for.
eggs.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. And but that's a Fast and the Furious model. That's like let's just dumb it down for everyone. You know?
You think that's part of because you clicked easy?
No, no, no. The waypoints would always be there. I clicked easy so that I could kill all the bad guys. The easy was just like your health bar. Like, do you just want to play the story? Question mark. And I was like, yes.
Because
It's not.
there's things like
Yeah.
that where it's like the easy is just like we'll just only focus on the story.
No, it was very linear. You couldn't even move off the path.
Hmm.
Like it's like as I was trying to leave, it's like bumping me off. Like there's like an invisible wall. You
Okay,
know?
okay. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Whereas like in Final Fantasy VII, the first one, you go on the whole map,
Hmm.
so you can go anywhere. You know. And then when you get the plane, you could fly wherever you want. And that was the cool part because like you would discover something like a hidden, like they would build a hidden city, and you would never know if you just didn't accidentally go in the cloud. But
Hmm.
like, wait, there's a cloud here, you know? Like, who discovered this?
Right, right.
Yeah. But that's not in video games anymore. Or
Hmm.
unless it is. I don't know. You played more story games recently compared to me, so do you find that that's the case? Like do you still find um
Well,
like
I
hidden gems like that?
hidden gems. I mean, like an expansion to a map that I didn't think that was there. Like if you use
Sort of. Yeah, kind
like
of.
that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing
basically, yeah.
happened in God of War, where like there were areas that didn't involve the story at all.
But how did you know to go there?
I just accidentally got into. I was like, oh, I didn't know there was more stuff here.
So that there's no like
So
waypoint or anything?
no, like in one of the things where you're jumping through, the portals. Like you go
Yeah.
into you, so it kind of like hints you at. It's like you jump there. It's like, oh, this is not the right one, and you immediately leave.
Okay.
And like as
Oh, but
you're
then
not.
you jump through and you're like,
Well,
but
when
you're
I
like, what
was
if I
like,
do look around?
yeah, then when I was like looking at the map, I was like, oh, what is this spot? But it wasn't like showing the whole thing.
That's cool. See, that's cool. That's cool. That's an old school trick.
Hmm.
Like that's exactly what I was saying. Where it's like you'll like see something, you're like, wait, what is this? And you're like, you discover a whole dungeon that they built into the game that they didn't tell anyone
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. And there was like it was like more like when characters talk when you're like playing them, like when you're just moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like there was more to that story. Like there was like what this area was, what
Oh,
happened here. Like, oh, like she
yep.
was here, she fought Thor, which is his wife, right? So it's like I was like, oh, like there's like more to kind of explore and know about this world.
Okay, so see, that's cool. Like stuff like that's cool. But is that a commonplace practice or not really? It's like maybe they just stuck to.
I don't know if like even Uncharted 4 was trying to do that too, right? Like where
No, but it was still like straightforward. Like you just kind
it
of
was
followed like a
straightforward, but
movie.
they tried to create a there again, they didn't it was like the start of it something where it's like, okay, we'll let you explore a little bit, but like we're still controlling the
But do you remember that when we were watching the development of those video games where they're like, I didn't think we were to talk so long about video games, but okay, this is gonna be like a like have video games lost their way, like because like
or pre
I had
yeah.
other topics, but I'm like okay, whatever. So anyways, uh, so remember we were watching the development of Uncharted, and they said Neil Druckmann, he was such a genius. He's like, you make them think that they're discovering something new, but this whole time I was prodding you. Like,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
do you make the game in a way that I'm pushing you without you knowing it?
Mhm.
That was so cool about
Yeah.
Uncharted. Like, you think you're heading in like a new direction, but it's like, no, we wanted you to go there. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
saying like
So
yeah,
like,
that was like for the linear aspect of the story. It's like how
okay,
they made me walk in that direction, right? Like to continue the
yeah,
story.
yeah,
I'm saying like there was other
yeah.
areas to like explore more of the map. Like once you like go back to the areas, right?
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I was all right.
Like
I didn't know
you
that that
could
was the
just
thing.
follow through with the story, but like there were little bits, but it's not like it was like they were learning, they were trying to figure out themselves probably like what else we can add in
Oh,
here
okay,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. But like, but still, even with making it bigger, it's like how do you still convince them to go this way, right? Which is a whole
Right, yeah,
different
yeah, totally.
aspect. Yeah, you felt like you were
Yeah,
discovering yourself. It's like how did they make us think that?
totally. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So we're talking about like the few and the far between, the games that are insanely good, you know. But I feel like every idea, every game is just a rinse of some other old game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like before Spyro, I don't know any other game that was like Spyro the Dragon.
No, because there wasn't games before, right?
That's what I mean. But that's
Yeah.
what I mean. It's
So
like you were
that's
just
the
using your imagination.
yeah.
You're like, what would be the sickest thing I can come up with? But now it's like, what made money? And like, well,
Well,
what do
because
people
I'm
like?
sure there was a lot of loss too, right? Back in those times. If it's because it's like, how do you figure out a game when you've never made a game before? That was the thing, right?
But
That now it's like, okay, figuring out this formula. Like,
right, right. But that's what makes things boring. And
that's
like in
where, yeah,
order
but
for
that's why
any
like,
artist,
that's where like new technologies have to come in, kind of way, right? It's like we're shifting away from like if VR ends up becoming a thing, I think VR is like that would be a new way to like how do you get people into the
that's
game, like how you create an innovative game that fits in the world of VR.
that's that's why I'm interested in VR because I'm like, it's so new. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna create with this?
Hmm. But that's still in the early stages, and it's still like it's. There are some games I'm hearing, or like we'll see what they show at the PlayStation Showcase, but it's like those are. I feel like it's the independent ones that are going to be pushing the thing more than necessarily the big titles. Like they'll probably stick to like the gun games or like things
Yeah.
like that.
But it's not like you can't do it. You can't reuse it, but just make it innovative. Because you're like gun games, and I just automatically thought of like Gears of War, right?
Hmm.
It Gears of War is just like a bunch of other gun games, but the difference being that it the mechanics were different.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there was something there that they were like, this is gonna be cool.
Hmm.
Like I feel like the spark has been lost, and I could see it like in the there's no like high fives and cheering anymore. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, right? Like remember when Gears of War came out, we were like, yo, it's gonna be sick. And then we watched the development, they were like, oh, we're trying to figure out how to make this like thing work, But now it's like it's like I could see in those rooms being like, just do what we did before. Just do what works. You know it's gonna work.
Hmm.
There's no like smashing your head through a wall trying to figure out how to make the best product ever. You know?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, let's see what the PlayStation Showcase has to
I
has to
think
show.
what really
That's why.
signaled what signaled it to me was the Xbox. Watching the Xbox die, like it's what was that? The Xbox Cube or whatever.
Oh, the
The
Cube.
new system.
Oh,
It was like a
Series S or Series X. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure, yeah. And then we're like, nothing was cool there. You didn't see anything that was like
Yeah, they're having a,
super innovative.
but yeah, they're having a hard time. Like, I don't understand. Like, what they're focusing on. Well, Microsoft's focusing on just buying the studios.
Oh, okay.
That's what's happening, right? So,
Yeah.
and like, I don't. Sony's like killing it. That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, they're like their quality is unmatched. But all right, but that's why I'm so late to the party with the Switch. But that's why I'm so interested in the Switch now because I'm like the thing that threw me off for so long was like there's no way it could look this good. Like it's handheld. Like, you know, only until I started like just accidentally talking to you about the Switch and then I started looking at the games. I'm like, wait, these look really, really good. Like even this Pokemon game, Pokemon Arcane or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
where so basically, you know how Pokemon the old games where you're walking around randomly and you'll like hit into a battle,
Yeah.
you know, in the tall grass, like oh, just don't walk in the grass. But in this one, I was watching some videos on it, and my cousin had told me about it. But I'm like, it's probably gonna look like trash because it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's probably gonna look like polygons. Who wants that? But then I was like looking at other games to potentially get for the Switch, and then I watched the video and I'm like, oh no, this looks really immersive. Like they're walking through the world and just Pokemon are walking and you see it in the distance. You're like, oh, let me run up, and then you like get ready to throw the ball, and then it shows you like where you're trying to hit, and then if you can throw it accurately, but then they messed up and the Pokemon turned around and they had to start battling it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's you know what I mean? That sounds really cool,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
innovative.
Nintendo's doing pretty good. Like, they have
And
a.
I'm so late to the party. I didn't know that was a thing. Like, wait,
It's,
what?
yeah, there's just not enough games for me to go on that side.
No, there is not. I looked at the
That's
game
the
selection. I'm like, these all look like kid games. Like,
most.
there's only like even
Yeah.
Pokemon's a kid game.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't. I think I saw one, the Final Fantasy one. I'm gonna watch the trailer for it to see like if or the review to see if it's worth buying. But like, it's basically like the Final Fantasy 7 that you saw me playing. It's
Mm-hmm.
the exact same one, but it's like a prequel to the Final Fantasy 7. Like the story's a
Yeah, yeah,
prequel.
yeah. I don't know. Like, there are some third-party games that they've made for the
But the graphics
Switch.
are wild, is what I'm saying. Like watching uh, the Pokemon, whatever it's called, like the one where the
I
Pokemon are
think,
walking
yeah, I
around.
think it depends. I think it's like because they know because they're building it for the Switch. Like, this game is not on anything else, so they can optimize it to the Switch,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
right?
But it wasn't like crappy polygons. I was like, oh,
Oh no,
this
yeah, yeah,
it could be
yeah.
a PlayStation game. Like what? It's still cartoony because it's like for kids, but
Right, right, right.
it's not like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's exciting me. That's making me want to play video games again
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you see the passion, you know? Yeah. Okay, all right. So when you watch the PlayStation showcase, you'll have a better idea of things to share, and just
Yeah.
show me things that you think are cool,
Yeah, of course.
and let's see if it's like no, but let's see if it's like actually cool or it's
Mm-hmm.
like a because the Harry Potter one it looked good, but I was like, but there was something kind of similar during the PlayStation time. It wasn't as innovative, but like they had you play as Harry and you could walk around the whole.
We're playing as Harry.
Um, yeah. Do you don't remember that? There's like a Harry Potter game for like PlayStation. It's like this. But it followed the story though. It wasn't like this one's new.
Oh yeah, this I don't know the other one.
This the other one's like the story game where it's like when the movies came out, you actually
Oh okay.
they release games. Remember when
Yeah,
they used to do that? Like every
yeah,
time a
yeah.
movie would come out, they release a game. So the game was actually pretty innovative. Like you could run through Hogwarts and like take classes and stuff.
Okay.
So that was cool. But like when I saw this one, I'm like, okay, that's kind of like the old game. There wasn't anything that was like sticking out to me.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember the other game. So,
Yeah, exactly. Now that I'm
but
like
this is
talking
like
about it, like,
their
maybe I know.
like I heard that It's Warner Brothers who made it, right? The ones who made like
Okay.
the Batman games.
Oh, interesting.
This is like
Yeah.
their biggest game ever now, beating out all the Batman
This
games.
Harry Potter game?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So so there's probably something there. I mean, when the Batman game came out, that was pretty innovative too.
Hmm.
That Arkham Knight, the way they were fighting, you'd like
Yeah.
jump like zigzag. Assassin's Creed. That's another one where like the franchise just died off. Like the first few were so good, so innovative is like you're playing as this assassin to
Yeah.
like correct the order, and now we're just getting ridiculous with storylines. Like, what are we doing?
I don't think
Right?
it's a storyline
Like,
anymore. I wouldn't follow a storyline. It's just exploring the world. I feel like that's all it.
it's basically what it is. But remember when what was that the Egypt one, the Assassin's Creed Egypt one?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I played was the world exploration. Remember they built that for students so that you could like walk around and like learn about the
I
world.
think they did it for the other one, the Greek one too. I feel like,
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that they did that for the Greek one. But so
or like this is their
that
new
was
thing. They found something here that works, which is like just the historical aspect of things.
right. And that was innovative to me. That's why I played that portion of it. I was like, oh, this is cool. I can get a tour of the like I don't need to walk around play this like stupid story that makes no sense.
Mhm.
Like it's making no sense anymore. They should have stopped way back when.
Right.
They've lost their like spark.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about video games? I just want to talk about one thing before we jump off.
Nothing else I can remember. No.
Actually, maybe these are kind of quick. Actually, let's see if we can burn through them. You see the thing about the Alberta wildfires?
Yeah. On the news. Yeah.
Okay. What was tripping me out is so like we run programs all over, and I'm just watching because I just got back from Alberta, right? And the place where we work, Canmore, we have an office there, and then the instructors were showing us they bought air detectors for the area because they have to run courses, and it was beyond hazardous was the thing. They were like showing us the thing, and I was like freaking out. I'm like, you guys sure you can't just leave the area? That's kind of weird. And then I was asking my boss like, what do you do in this situation? Like, do you breathe? And then he's like, oh no, we just like shut the windows and like circular air. You don't get any air from the outside. I was like, that sounds kind of freaky though. Like the actual detector said like
air quality is bad. Yeah.
Like this is very bad, But what was tripping me out is that it actually the smoke made its way to Canada. Not just Canada. It isn't Canada. Toronto.
Well, yeah, it's huge, right?
Smoke.
Yeah. Or like the remnants. Yeah.
Yeah, like whoa, we're so interconnected as a world that I didn't even think about that. Like the Chernobyl stuff, like what's happening to that?
Yeah.
And the Japan thing. Remember when the reactor was going off, and then they saw that it was hitting Vancouver or something like that?
Yeah,
like the radiation. Yeah, we're so like interconnected. It's kind of creepy.
That's why you have all the air streams or jet streams or all that stuff. That's how it's all connected, right?
But trippy though, because you're like, oh, this is kind of like one thing that happens in a different part of the world that can totally make its way here.
Yeah. But it's not like it'll make it here, but at this point, it's very, very diluted. Yeah,
totally. But no, but it's just still trippy. It's like,
yeah.
Like I was like, oh, that's Alberta, bro. I'm like, whoa, Toronto. We could see it in Toronto. What? Yeah.
That's how big it is. That's what that means, right? That's how big that was. If it comes out of here, yeah.
Which kind of freaky. Like, whoa. Yeah. Okay. Next thing is Tesla bots. Did you see the video?
I saw their Twitter thing a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's because you were talking about this before, like Tesla bots. Yeah. But I hadn't seen anything from it. But they put out a promo video for their actual robots now. And they kind of look like Boston Dynamic robots, not like engineered arts. But I'm just wondering, like, do you have any insights on what they're doing with this? When I saw the video, I was like, oh, it's like some Terminator stuff, bro. Like, what is this supposed to be?
Well,
is it a servant?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, probably eventually. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I
Okay.
think when they first announced it, they were putting on certain rules too, or like it's not going to go faster than this speed or whatever other kind of stuff. They announced a bunch of lists. So now, because that time they didn't have a working prototype yet. So
Yep. Okay.
now they have or something of a prototype working here, right? I don't know what limitations or like where it's at, in the phase, but it's still going to take a while to get out there. But Elon believes that it's going to become, it's more like like a servant, like
Like as pervasive as the Teslas themselves.
what,
Like
what
like Teslas are picking up.
no, he said I think he believes that this will be bigger than the cars. This will become a
Wow. Okay. So it's not like
like as a business model. This is where Tesla's going, where it's going to become the main like moneymaker, I would say.
wow, really? Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, they were demonstrating like problem solving capabilities and learning from problem solving. But then it got me thinking like, are we going to figure out a way to transport our consciousness into this robot? I mean, like, if we make
Well,
it so good,
I don't know if that's
and then we're like,
necessarily
oh,
what I don't know what their plan is. I'm sure he's very like against like this like the AI thing,
yeah,
right?
I think
Yeah,
it's kind of ironic because he helped like start that.
the open AI. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, but okay, so like my thought is, if these things are getting so advanced, how long before somebody tries to put themselves in the robot? I'm not talking like swap out a piece. I'm
No,
saying
no, yeah,
like
yeah,
put
yeah,
your
yeah.
brain
Consciousness
in the
or yeah,
robot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I'm sure there'll be people that want to try to do
we
that.
like with Neuralink. Like really think about the steps.
Yeah,
If you have
right, right.
Neuralink, you could start mapping out the brain, and then if you could somehow use Neuralink to upload into the robot,
Mm-hmm.
then what do you have? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so trippy. Because then it's like this could be our next evolution. We
Mm-hmm.
just actually become robots. Somebody was saying it was kind of funny. They're like, oh, this makes me so angry that they're putting money into Tesla bots and not trying to figure out how to stop these wildfires. And then I wrote back as a joke. I
Okay.
was like, step one is create the robot. Step two is figure out how to transport your consciousness in the robot. Loophole: robots don't need to breathe. No need to worry about the smoke. They didn't appreciate that, but but you know what I mean? Like that's literally like if we just figure this out, we don't even need to care about who cares about smoke, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would get rid of a lot of stuff
So,
as a robot.
yeah, but sometimes I mean, they do understand that forest fires are natural, that they happen naturally.
No, fair. But what they're saying is like because of climate change, things are getting hotter, and then the heat is making more wildfires start and would not usually have
Right. Okay.
happened.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we
That's
can't deny
probably
that
true.
climate change
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's. I was on the maybe fence before. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you guys are right. There's some kind of weird. Like I've listened to so many podcasts and read like a bunch of books on the opposite side of climate change because I'm like, okay, what is your argument? Maybe you guys are right, you know? And
Yeah.
I was kind of buying it. You know, they're like, okay, yeah, it's just cyclical. It happens every like X amount of years. There's no different. If you longitudinally um, map out like heat, you'll notice that this always happens, right? And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But then it's like COVID. Did you die from COVID or did you die from heart disease? But if you didn't get COVID, you wouldn't have aggravated the heart disease. You know what I'm saying? Like how
Mm-hmm.
people just like blame everything on. It's like yes, it would have naturally happened, but are our actions making that
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
go
Yeah.
faster? And I kind of feel like they are now. Like now that I look at them, like I wasn't sure because the climate change people are like a little too aggressive, just like the anti-climate change people. So I was trying to weigh it, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's like it's hard to deny that we're not contributing to climate change.
Yeah. We can see that the temperature of the Earth has been increasing, right, year over year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it can't be good. Like it's like our influence is just making that worse. Like yeah, sure they could, like if you map it out longitudinally, sure, temperatures change all the time, but without our aggressive input, then it probably wouldn't get to the level it is now. Like a lot of stuff, we were in Alberta, and there's this like ice field that Tara went to before with her family, and she's like, oh yeah, we could walk on the ice fields, but then they melted, so we can't do that anymore. Well, a large majority of them melted.
Yeah.
So like it's like that's undeniable that that's happening, and at a rapid pace. You know, like within, I don't know, less than 10 years, it's melted. Whoa. Yeah. Okay. How do you feel about life and death then? I know we've talked about this multiple times, but like, if you can transport your consciousness into a robot, we've essentially taken away death, and death is our main motivator for doing things. So it's like, would we become complacent if we just became robots? You know, it's like, yeah, put that off for another 1,000 years. I don't need to get that done. You know, where would our urgency be? You know what I'm saying? We'd run at a different time scale. You know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Instead of being like, I'll do that next year, I'll do that in 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Right? Which, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to land in terms of like progression. Like, how, I don't know. You see that too, though, right? As being like a potential problem.
Yeah, I mean, these things are, you know, in the Black Mirror shows. I was talking about that recently too, which is like transferring your consciousness into like the server or whatever it is, right? It's like, same concept kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I think I see that can probably eventually happen.
Yeah, okay. When people are like, how possibly could that happen? That's impossible to like. No, brains are just data. But can you map out all the data? If you can map out all the data, you can transfer that data. It's no different than like saving onto a hard drive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A hard drive is just encapsulated data. You know? AI is a string of code saved onto a hard drive somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, which is similar to our brains. If you could just map out all the data in our brains, you could easily transfer that. It's not magic, you know, because like people are like, how would you even, like, our consciousness is like intangible. How do you move the intangible? It's like, so are video files. They're intangible, bro. You can't touch a video file, but we do it, right? You know? Yeah. Like there's a logical process for this. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But you got to figure that out. Will take some time.
Yeah.
It's not an easy process. But
yeah. No, yeah, for sure. But I could see how it would logically get done. Just like map out all the data, memories, what are the actions, stuff like that.
Like this is, I'm sure it was like, how do you capture an image? Like there was no idea, or I saw like a clip.
It's intangible.
I saw like I'm just saying like new technology or old technology, whatever. It's like I saw like a clip where it's like, I think it was like 1994, where it's like, I think they're asking this guy like, what is an internet? Like there's no understand. You know what I mean? It's like until we figure it out, no, it's like that's why you don't understand it. It's like,
Exactly. And the way it's being perceived to you might not be the way you thought it would have been captured. What I'm trying to say as an example is video compared to photo, right?
Yeah.
How do you capture a moment in time? Okay, they figured out how to use light to save an image, right? Like that's what they used to do. Remember, like the old cameras, they put it over their heads, they like flash something, and then in that moment in time, you've like essentially saved the photo.
Yeah.
So that's how you capture that moment, right? But how do you capture a series of moments, which is video, right? Well, you just capture an image. That's why it's 30 frames per second. You're watching 30 images within that 1 second.
Yeah. So if you understand that, yeah, exactly.
Right? So when you're saying like, how do you transfer consciousness to your brain? Like, I don't know, like same way we not the same way, but I'm saying like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
concept is similar to like a photo. We didn't know how to do it. Seemed impossible. Like
Hmm.
how are you going to capture a moment in time? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing is, unless you want to say anything else about it.
No.
Okay. Last thing is,
Or it's like, wait. I just wanted to add that.
oh
Like, it's
yeah.
like
Okay.
the ones with the earpieces. That's an electrical signaling connecting to your brain, right? So you
Yeah.
could hear. Like, that's we're already understanding little bits here how this thing works.
Yeah. Exactly. Our inputs for the brain. Like, okay. So what are we're already mapping out the brain with
Yeah.
everything we do.
Yeah.
We just need to figure out how to save the brain now.
Hmm.
Save the data from the brain. You
Yeah.
can map it out. You know what the triggers are. But it's like, how do you save it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe you don't even save it. Maybe you create a copy of it.
Or
Maybe it's
that's what
not
I'm saying, like a
saving.
transfer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's like you'll still have your brain, but it's an exact replica of all of your memories. You clone yourself essentially.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your brain can be cloned. It's like a Word file.
Hmm.
Actually think about that. It's like a Word file. So like you can save a Word file, but then if you want to add more to it, right, you'd have to save it again, overwriting. Like, but you can only capture up to that moment of the Word file.
Yeah.
Like if we're working on a document, like, okay, let's write a whole project charter
Hmm.
or whatever, we're writing it. And then we're like, that's all of our thoughts in that moment. Right.
Right.
So it's kind of like, that's how that cloning of our brain would be. It would just be in that moment. And then anything going forward, you'd have to create another clone
Hmm.
too. But you'd still have two copies of it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's not transfer. Maybe it's copying. Maybe we're
Maybe
thinking about it wrong.
maybe that's an easier process then.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you won't have to. Or no. This is what they're gonna do. They're gonna say, "Oh, this is so trippy." This is what they're gonna do. They're going to say that they're transferring your brain to another robot.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
but what they're really doing is they're creating a clone in that robot and then killing you.
Hmm. All right. Right.
But that's the exact same thing as that's the mechanics for the statement. It's like,
Hmm.
how do I transfer my consciousness to a robot? Okay, well, the easiest thing to do would be clone you, clone all the data, put it in the robot, and then kill you, delete your file. Because then
Hmm.
you would be transferred into that robot
Yeah.
because there'd be no two yous, there'd only be one you.
This sounds like a movie though. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Sounds familiar to a movie. I don't recall, but what it is, but it sounds something similar.
Okay. Is it that Ryan Reynolds movie?
I'm not sure.
Selfless?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe that one. I don't know. There was another one called Altered Carbon. Was that? I don't know what that one was like.
I haven't seen that. Altered
I
Carbon.
don't. I don't know. It sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
But taking that example that I said, like how the statement and the mechanics are totally different, but you accomplish the statement through mechanics that you didn't intend,
Hmm.
right? Like
Right.
I'm just cloning you and then killing you. But that's the exact same thing as like the photo. How do you capture a moment in time? You're taking the statement and you're creating mechanics. Like however you conceptualize that, I've accomplished your statement.
Okay. Right.
I've completed the objective.
Hmm.
Like I've captured a moment in time.
Right.
You didn't tell me how to do it.
Hmm.
You just told me what to do. What you wanted.
Right.
So like, what are the unintended consequences? Like, don't like be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Is what the moral is
Right.
here.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Last thing, because I got to jump. Tara's on her way back.
Hmm.
So I was thinking about the the whole inclusivity thing, right? And how, because I'm kind of an introvert. I'm actually very much so an introvert, even though I seem extroverted. It's just because I'm very curious about the wonder of life. Like I'm just like interested,
Yeah.
you know. And that comes us off as like extroversion. But how come nobody thinks about introverts for inclusivity? Like, for example, like we're like, um, introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Like, why can't I be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why can't I be like, sorry? Oh, Matt, angry. Why can't I be like you're not being respectful or inclusive towards my lack of desire to want to introduce myself? No, but really though, right? Like you're trying to be
Yeah.
inclusive,
Yeah.
but what if I just don't want to do that?
Yeah.
Where do we draw the line between I just don't want to do that anymore? You know?
Yeah. 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 True.
Right? Or
Mm-hmm.
like the joke I was saying to you guys in the chat was like, what if I just like started using like slang, like really hardcore slang? People are like, oh, that's not professional. I'm like, don't slang shame me, you know? And then people are like, what do we say? You know, like, but we have to draw the line somewhere, is what I'm saying. It's like, we can't let everything go because what is considered inclusive, what's not considered
Mm-hmm.
inclusive.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I respect that you don't want to identify as something,
Yeah. Right.
but that's for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just need to draw the line somewhere because you could just become anything at that point.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're in a hyper inclusive world with no boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't realize like you could take advantage of these loopholes. I was just starting to think of loopholes. I'm like, well, what if I just said this? What if I did this? Like you'd have to let me do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what people are doing who are you know, like the teacher who like wore the prosthetic
I was just
breast
thinking
in
about that.
classroom,
Yeah, I was just thinking about that one.
right? I don't think I think he's just playing with loopholes. He's like, what can I get away with?
That's what I heard,
can
that
you
it's
force
possible.
me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you saw them outside of school and he's like not even
Yeah.
wearing the
Yeah. Yeah.
prosthetics. So it's like you're kind of showing them like you guys are being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I don't want to? How do I? Oh, okay. Okay. Here we go. Um, let's say hypothetically, you're in a team, right? And then you're like, hey, we need to get this done,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need to get this project done, but there's so many steps to getting it done. Then someone goes, oh, this is affecting my mental health. This is too much stress for me. Then why are you here? You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta draw the line, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we are a team to get this whole series of things done. But if we're so hyper inclusive that we're considering your mental health for everything, it's like we're just not gonna get this done.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is like, where do you draw the line for reality now? How do we have a healthy balance of both? I totally accept that you want to be identified as something else, or I totally accept that you think there's a lot of stress. I totally understand that this is affecting your mental health, but we still need to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what are we gonna do about it? You know?
Yeah. I think that there will be eventually, you know, once you go too far one direction, there will be a reaction, or like a clash will happen that has to kind of fix itself in a way.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. Yeah. But do I like personally? I don't want to. I don't want to override my own morals for something I find is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what
Yeah,
if one day, like, you know what I mean? Like, one day I'm introduced to somebody and they're like, "Hey, I'm John, and I'm actually a dog." I'm like, "What the hell, bro? Like, can you just pay me and then I will never have to do work because I'm
well,
like that's who I
yeah, that
identify as?"
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, where we draw the line, bro?
yeah.
That's all I'm asking. Is like, where do we rationally draw the line? People have asked this, like Jordan Peterson, but he's been getting hate, right? He's too aggressive with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just saying, like, really think about it. Like, we need to still get things done.
Yeah.
So, how do we operate in a way that adheres to all of those things? I'm actually asking you. I don't know. Is that even possible? Is that completely unachievable?
I think there's just swings in society. So
you think it's unachievable until somebody gets really pissed off?
no,
Swing back the other way.
it'll go swing back the other way. It just That's just the ebb and flow
But
of
there'll
things.
never be a balance, right? There'll never be.
I don't think there. I don't think we'll ever reach like a balance where it just doesn't like, um, where it just doesn't become an issue anymore. I think it's just it'll go in the other direction and have to pull back out again, and it's just gonna keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just clicked in my head. You know why? Because nobody cares. Nobody cares about any of this stuff. We're just doing what we're told. Let me explain
Hmm.
why. So I was talking to somebody, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'm a centrist. I'd say I'm a centrist. Like I listen to like the left. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I listen to the right. Like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm just gonna take whatever I think makes sense,
Yeah.
right?" And they were like, "I've never even heard of this term before." And I was like, "Oh, you don't
What?
care." No, but that's the
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
So when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, you don't care enough about
Right,
these
right.
things. You think it's just down to two things. You didn't consider what if I drop those two things? What if like is there another alternative?"
Hmm.
And maybe that's what people are doing, like this left and right thing, like you're saying, like swing back and forth. It's just like we don't care. Oh, we don't care. We're going back this way. Okay, we don't care. Okay, we're going back this way. You know. But if people cared, they'd ask these questions too, like where do you draw the line, and why are you not thinking about like introverts,
Hmm. Right.
right? You agree, or like is there something wrong with my like logic here,
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
right? Because I've just noticed that like nobody's talking, and I brought this up to one of my friends, and they're like, it's because introverts wouldn't say anything. And I was like, ah, fair point. Like, maybe we need to speak up, you know?
But then that makes you an
Then
extrovert.
you have to be, yeah, you have to extrovert in order to get your way. So it's like, but I'm naturally,
Generally, the world has been created because of the extroverts, right? The
yeah,
introverts just following along.
yeah. Or following along and being like, this is weird, eh?
Yeah, but
Because like,
keeping it to themselves. That's the thing.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Because like, okay, we have this podcast and we have these opinions, but we're not like protesting. Like, I feel like some people are kind of like, they're like, well, you feel that way, you should like do something about it. Like, why? We're voicing
Yeah.
the idea. Like, I don't need to like go to young like center, what is it called, City Hall, and just like stand in front, being like, this is too much.
I
Let's go
mean,
back to like
yeah, but we
people
call
are
those
doing that
people
already.
weird, though,
Like,
right? We call that
we do
weird.
call those people weird. It's like just do what we're doing, have a conversation about it, and think about it. Just be like, is this weird? And then make your own decision.
Hmm.
But I feel like, yeah, people they don't they don't care enough to think about it. No, they have like a shallow
No,
level of care.
yeah. I think most people. I think you're right in that aspect that not people don't care about it because it's not until it affects our life. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true. Until we have like multiple options um on our driver's license where it's like you could fill in whatever identity you want. Like what? All
Yeah.
right, Super Saiyan it is, bro.
Hmm.
But then you seem like a jerk. You seem like, what's weird? It's like the antisocial social club. It's like you want to make it as inclusive as possible, but if I say something that's not like it's like standard definitions of inclusive. You can be uh male, female, or non-binary, right?
Hmm.
If I introduce like um I don't know, citizen of humanity, they're like, sorry, we're inclusive, but we're not that inclusive. You
Right.
only can pick the 3. So
Hmm.
it's like, so what do you mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's like your inclusivity comes with its own limits,
Right.
you know? It's only considered inclusive if it falls within the buckets of what we've defined as inclusive,
Hmm.
which is not
It's
inclusive.
not
Because
inclusive.
then
Yeah.
how do you
Because
how
I
do you
think
include other alternate ideas?
that's the thing. It's like using that same, the word inclusive. You'll end up getting into the center if you really think about it, right? And
Yeah.
just you have to include everybody.
If you
It just
if you
becomes
care
center.
about it, yeah, if you care about it enough, you would become a centrist because you're like, both sides can't be totally correct.
Hmm.
But you just want to like let your brain go and you just pick a
Like
side. You're like,
yeah,
are you left or right, bro?
that's the thing. Like if you really ask people questions, it's like on specific topics, right?
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Right. Then
They're gonna
you'll
give you like pre-programmed responses.
Yeah, but like,
Right? Like,
no, but yeah, I get that, but it's like based on their life, right? It's like there's no real like you're gonna realize how much of a center most people are on many things. Like more things,
if
you're
if you push them enough,
yeah.
if you push them enough, but they won't admit to it though.
But you
I'm
don't
a
use that
leftist.
word left or right. You just ask the question like specific topics, right, on specific things. Like
For sure. No, I agree with you, but
Yeah.
but it's like they won't see it. They'll still consider themselves.
no, I know that. That's a different aspect. But yeah, you can. They'll all say like things that are more in the center than they
I see.
realize.
Right.
That they
Right,
won't
right,
they
right.
won't acknowledge that they're in the center. They'll of course acknowledge that
Right,
are
right,
they
right.
left or right, but they don't realize that most of the things will be in the center.
Yeah, because it's framing. It's framing.
It's-
So if
yeah.
I was like, if I was like, hey, do you like healthcare for all? Like, yeah, of course, that's a great idea. Oh, so you're a communist. Like, and they're like, what? No, I'm not. You know what I mean? But it's like,
Yeah.
that's a communist ideal. So it's like they will say things but not realize what those things mean. They're like what they're attached to.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like the centerist thing.
ideology
It's like, you'll
versus it's ideology what there's
Logic.
versus logic. Yeah.
like if you talk to them, you're like, actually, I disagree with that. Oh, okay, so you're right wing.
Mhm.
Like, no, but I advocate for the left. But that's a right wing ideology. So why are you agreeing with it?
Mhm.
Because you're in the center. Because most people are in the center.
Yeah.
They just choose a side because it's easier.
This is the only things that you're hearing generally. You're not hearing the center points, right?
It shocked me when the person was like, I've never heard of a centrist before. I was like, oh, okay. Well, basically what they do is they just look at both sides like, oh, this one's good, this one's bad.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
okay.
like most people
yeah.
don't look. Most people don't look into like they look.
'Cause they don't care
Again,
enough.
it's one cause, right?
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
It's chimp mentality, in group, out group,
Yeah,
It's
but we're
like-
chimps anyways, so it makes sense.
until they become robots. They become robot chimps.
That's different.
That's true. All right, I have to jump. I should walk in here right now. Perfect timing. All right, till next time, Vish. Take it easy.
Peace.
Bye. All right, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.